actually with a sense of fatigue, but a good fatigue that I'm standing here today to be able to, with my colleagues in education, give some more information to the general public as we endeavor to commence with school on October 2nd, Monday, upcoming. It was the goal of the ministry, and under my directive, everyone moved to make this happen, especially for our priority classes, the pre-exam and exam classes in each school at both secondary and elementary level. All schools and school boards have been represented in several meetings moving forward with our education recovery team. And in doing so, we have been able to get a better picture of the needs of the schools. We have assisted and facilitated where possible with quick fixes to be able to assist schools to get up and running. But many have been able to secure the spaces and make sure that they are safe for the pre-exam and exam classes. Of course, some of the schools are also ready beyond that, but many have opted to just start out small on October 2nd, even with their soft openings last week, to be able to give also care teams the possibility to assess staff, readiness of staff, and deal with the emotional upheaval that dealing with this catastrophic hurricane that has been dealt to us here on St. Martin. I'm very proud of the cooperation and collaboration we have received as a ministry, not only from our partners in government, because the Ministry of ROMI played a very key role in us being able to get the assistance of the Marines to deal with mainly roofing and electrical problems, also to be able to hire contractors where possible for our public schools, and to deal with the different school boards as well and assist them as much as possible. So the Ministry of ROMI, we thank them. Of course, none of us could say we would be opening our schools on Monday had we not had the cooperation of GEBE in making sure that we were able to secure water and electricity to the schools. And while we were a bit pressed on Friday with just 2 more schools not being fully up and running with that as yet, GB was able to come through, and by yesterday, all schools were able to say that they did have water and electricity. Where there is some damage, of course, GEBE or the schools themselves with their electricians condemned the parts so that there would be no possibility of electrical shock and the like. And so also from the ministry's point of view, inspections went out to ascertain the levels of readiness within the schools during the past few days. And thereafter, another meeting was held where even more updates were given. So I must say I'm very, very proud of all the stakeholders who came together to make this possible. Also setting up to be able to start school, knowing the emotional upheaval, the ministry with its division for student support services also was able to form an action plan and an action group. In fact, several groups within the different schools of care teams who are currently carrying out a psychosocial assessment of teachers as well as students. So in describing what will be happening with our schools, the assessment will be ongoing and continuous to be able to meet the needs of those that need it the most. Some of the areas where our pre-readiness checks were done up to September 29th are whether the schools had electricity, water, were free of debris, safe, clean, had sufficient learning materials, the amount of classrooms that were available, what solutions the schools had in place to be able to deal with the unavailability of either teachers or materials or classrooms, and also the availability of teachers when they were expected back, and what solutions they had for teachers that were currently missing and any other bottlenecks that they might have had. So as ministry, I must say that the cooperation and collaboration has been exceptional. I have seen the true colors of people with a passion for education, and I'm very proud to be leading this group of people. What I must say is that based on the numbers submitted, there are 73 teachers currently still off island who have left for whatever reason. However, only 4 have indicated that they are not willing to return, and the others are actively seeking means, and the ministry is also assisting to be able to bring them back in a timely fashion. All of the classes that we have slated to start as of Monday are covered as far as that is concerned, but you will be able to get those updates per school board as we move along. We have also met with the School Bus Association, and together with the Ministry of TIAT, inspections were carried out, and 14 buses were deemed fit to be transporting our students, and will be covering the routes to be able to meet the needs for this coming week. As you know, we're not starting at 100%, so 100% of the buses will also not be needed. The amount that have been inspected and have passed will be sufficient to cover the exam and pre-exam classes that will be using the buses. Okay, I'm getting an update. I mentioned 14, however, 30 buses. I guess they inspected more yesterday. 30 buses have now been approved to be busing our children, and so therefore no fare as far as getting transportation to and from school would be within the hearts and minds of the parents. I would like to implore all parents of children who are away to take contact with the school to be able to update them as to whether the children will be returning or not, as we have to plan for our actual school population. So the faster we know this information, the better we will be able to plan moving forward. Some of the solutions that are in the offing for some of the schools that have had severe damage are that we have ordered and are receiving 3 pavilions, which are 6 classrooms in a canvas type structure from the Netherlands. They arrived today on the Karel Doorman. If you've seen the big ship out in the harbor, it requires some setup though, so would not be ready as of tomorrow. However, in the interim phase, by the time we get out of this interim phase, the first week or two, I expect that these 3 pavilions will be ready, and you will be getting more information as to which schools will be making use of them and which locations they will be placed at. We've also heard, I haven't seen the details and the logistics of another school, quote unquote, mobile school being transported on the tropical ship, via tropical shipping. We just got the information that another one would land as well today, but we would need to get more information as to determine size, quantity, etc. that it could contain. What I can say about the 3 pavilions that are coming is they house 6 classrooms each, so that's 18 classrooms in total, and it's being equipped with sanitary facilities as well as air conditioning, and we have also received sufficient tables and chairs to be able to suit out these schools, these mobile schools. Even though we are starting with just pre-exam and exam classes on Monday in terms of the official assessment of these classes, all teachers are expected to report to work. The care teams have a plan in place that they will be working with all those teachers not directly connected to classrooms, and when the teachers that are busy with the students are finished, they will then get the opportunity to do more one-on-one or group work with our care teams. It's a well-established plan. We did not just jump into this and be like, okay, education comes first, everybody back to class, open your books, let's go. It's really looking after the people that is really very important for us, and we cannot know what they're going through unless they come, unless we can assess, we can know who needs what. As a ministry, we're also working together with the Red Cross to be able to provide meals for our students, so those that are unable to, that would need a meal would be able to get such without having to pay. And the breakfast programs will also be, set into overdrive at all schools. And that, I must say, is with a lot of help from not just the Red Cross, but also ESF 7, which falls under the department or the Ministry of Health and Social Development under Ms. Joy Arnell. So we're getting a lot of great cooperation and collaboration. It is not only about our students being in school, but it's providing them with a safe haven, especially for those who may not have electricity, current, or a complete roof over their heads. They can now come to school. We'll be able to provide them with breakfast, with lunch, with a safe environment where they can learn as well as play and interact socially with their peers. So I believe it is a step in the right direction for St. Martin. It shows that we are on the move. We are not lying down and taking a beating, but we are actually pulling up our bootstraps and tying them tight and working hard to get St. Martin back on track. So with that, I would like to thank you. Also, the uniform code, many parents have stopped me on the street and like, but we lost all the uniforms. This is not something that we are holding against you. Come in, give the information, and many are asking, how can we help you here on St. Martin? So definitely, we are looking at creating a fund to be able to assist parents to get uniforms and learning materials for their children. And we do have even more shipments of school materials coming in and other mobile classrooms, as some schools may not have lost entire wings and blocks, but may have lost pertinent, for instance, a sundial messing up, had their kitchen messed up. It's a key part of their instruction. So as much as we can get in, we will be putting it in the key areas to be able to allow our students to make the most of their educational experience, despite the horrific experience we've had September 6th, 2017, which was Irma.
It was wonderful to see them. They were happy to be out and to see each other and to share with one another. So it was really a good idea to have persons out. From the population of 1,998 students, 1,010 students presented themselves. All were represented by parents from the various schools. That's about 50%. 139 students are off island. We suspect that it's a bit more, but that's according to the feedback at that moment. And parents have indicated that the students will be returning immediately or up until December 2017. Tomorrow, the Sister Boyke School, the St. Dominic Primary School, St. Joseph School, Sister Regina School, Sister Magda School, they will resume 7:30 to 2 p.m. And the after-school program will also be in effect until 5 p.m. And of course, those are for the students enrolled in the program. Early stimulation of the St. Dominic Primary School will not start tomorrow, but we're hoping to have them started no later than the 9th, that's next week, Monday, and we will try to see if we can even get it done before, because we do understand that the parents, of course, want to have their children in a safe environment as they go out to work. The Sister Marie-Laurent School is a school that will not be starting tomorrow, like their sister schools, and this is really due to the devastation in connection with all the looting that took place after the hurricane. The school manager is wanting to meet with the parents of that school before, and then we're looking at on Wednesday to start with the pre-exam and the exam students. That's the group 7 and group 8 students, so we do want to get them started, and that we're looking at for most likely on Wednesday coming. The rest of the school, we are looking then for the next week, the Monday, October the 9th. Most likely we want to start then with groups 1 until 6. So then it will be their turn to come out. Early stimulation will not exist there. We would have to share those children up among other schools, and the parents will be notified. The school manager has expressed to have the children in one location. She really wants to keep her school together. And so with that in mind, we're looking at the Sister Marie-Laurent itself. There are a couple of classrooms intact, so we're going to start out with those. And that will be worked on during the course of the week. Our high school, the St. Dominic High, also starting tomorrow. And they are starting with their pre-exam forms 4, 5 CSEC program, as well as the IB program years 1 and 2. Those are starting tomorrow, and the other classes forms are expected in on Wednesday. Before the hurricane, we were missing a couple of teachers, and after Hurricane Irma, it has just compounded the situation somewhat. The start of the school will categorize itself with further debriefing of students and staff, maybe more on an individual basis, and of course, supported by the care team. They will be playing a crucial role. The teachers will be looking at creative ways to have the children work through their experiences. The more serious cases will then be referred to the professionals in care. For the coming weeks, we will be providing a complimentary breakfast and lunch. And during the course, we will be looking to see the students that really are in need of this service. So we started with everybody, but we will be narrowing it down to those really in need. If we look at our staff, a staff of 250 teaching and non-teaching staff, we have about 40 persons that left the island, 11 permanently, and 29 is willing to return, and they are just looking and seeing how they can get back on the island. We have about 35 persons with serious damages, and this is based on the forms, the surveys that were collected. According to the verbal reports, 10 persons are still out of doors. And we are hoping to provide some relief to these persons as soon as possible. And of course, we look forward to the input from persons that can give ideas as to, where there is possibility for accommodations. So in the coming days and weeks and months, we will be continuing to work on the areas that need attention, that are of concern still, and to try to get to some semblance of normalcy as we go along. Of course, counting on the collaboration from all stakeholders. We look at our teachers, our colleagues in education, the community, everyone that can lend a helping hand so that together we can work towards a level of normalcy, of stability. We know it's going to take some time. It's not an easy road, but where there's a will, there is a way. Thank you.
My name is Shananda Rumbly, and I am representing the Foundation for Protestant Christian Education, which is the board of the two Hillside Christian schools. At both campuses, we suffered some damage. At the Asher Stevens campus, mainly it was the office that took the biggest hit, along with one classroom. We have since made arrangements to have the office material moved to a different location within the building, and preparations to fix the classroom so that it can still be used by the students. So that school, thanks to the Marines, of course, that were stationed there, remains safe and can be fully operational for school on Monday. Our St. Peter's campus, the Helmick Snyder's campus, did lose a couple of roofs on some classrooms, but thankfully, we were in the process of constructing new classrooms, so those affected were able to move directly into the new building that was being constructed. We have water and electricity at both campuses, and we are ready to welcome back our students along with our staff, which has been amazing by being so dedicated, even though they themselves have experienced losses, to be there for the students to welcome them on Monday. We will be using all the classrooms, so all classes will begin on Monday, and each school will maintain their regular opening hours, which are Asher Stevens campus, 8 a.m. to 2 p.m., Helmick Snyder's campus, 7:30 to 1:30 p.m.
Milton Peters College, Sundial School, General Director, speaking on behalf of the Swobo School Board. First of all, I would like to commend Country St. Martin for its energy. Although we had a terrible hurricane, I'm very, very deep impressed by what we all did. Although we had the terrible looting, but I think with this energy of the country, with its great people, I'm so proud being part of this country at the moment. Also, I want to like to thank you, the Honourable Minister, and also all the people here at the ministry that helped out. They informed us perfectly on everything, and I think it's also good that we work as a team. not as separate schools, but all schools together. And then we also feel encouraged by what other schools are doing. MPC had the D building that was partly the roof was off. That's the HAVO VWO building. And on the second floor, which in Dutch is de eerste verdieping, we cleaned up, but at the moment it's not able to use these classrooms. For the remaining at MPC, the old gym collapsed, but still we have the other gyms uphill. Sundial is heavily damaged, especially the hospitality wing at the Pontville Road, as all can see. So unfortunately, restaurant and kitchen has been destroyed, the arts classroom, the gym collapsed, the drama classroom had heavily damaged. But again, we spoke to NIPA, and they are very much willing to help us out. So our students for the pre-exam and exam classes will go to NIPA for the practical courses of hospitality. So even they can continue education as of Monday. In total, there are still 19 colleagues of Ireland, all indicated to return. Most of them will come this week. The 4th, on Wednesday, most of them will fly back to Curaçao from the Netherlands. And I expect almost all teachers back on the 9th, Monday. Yeah, it's a tragedy, the hurricane. I would like to mention that one of our dear colleagues, Edith Richardson, passed away last Wednesday, and that was also a major blow to us. So we were already preparing the students to return. We heard this terrible message from our dear colleague. So that gave us a bit of a setback, but tomorrow we will start with the pre-exam and the exam classes, including the 4th form of VWO. But we don't start with regular classes. We have a 2-day program for the students to see how they're doing, how their situation is. We want to be creative with them, ask them questions, let them tell the stories about what they experienced. And as of Wednesday, these classes will resume regular classes like we hope we will do for the future. And it's not only about the students, it's also about our colleagues. So we also have for the forthcoming 2 weeks, thanks to our care team, also training sessions for our teachers. As Ms. Green indicated, a lot of our colleagues lost their houses, their roofs, seeking for alternative housing. And I know a lot of us went through these traumatic experience. So also our teachers we need to look after, and that's what we'll do in the forthcoming 2 weeks. On Thursday, all the other classes, the first 2 forms of secondary school will come. We will have the same program for them, and hopefully on Monday we can resume all classes with a normal schedule. Again, thank you all for helping us out. I think MPC looks fairly okay, and for Sundial we need to find a definite solution. Thank you.
I am the head of Division Public Education, which is tasked with the general management and administration of the public schools, under which falls 5 primary schools, Mary Genevieve School, Oranje School, Ruby La Bega School, Leonard Connor School, and Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. School. Also the Prince William Alexander School, which is a special education school for primary level, and the St. Martin Vocational School, which is a practical level for more secondary level students. Well, all of the 7 schools are going to be opening their doors tomorrow, actually since last week. But we would start with the pre-exam and the exam classes. And we do have a program, as the minister said earlier, where we would be using Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday, specifically to deal with the pre-exam and exam classes. And also the care team will be doing also, we're also going and meeting with the teachers and getting them ready. And then as of Thursday, we would be informed as to which schools, based on the different works that is going on at the schools, which of the 7 schools would be able to bring in all of the students starting Thursday, moving on Friday. So it all depends on the different works that still has to be finished. Yes, we've suffered some damage like all the other schools, roofs, windows, electrical. So we will be using this week to tackle those. And I would like at this time to really thank the minister and all my colleagues in the Ministry of Education, Culture, Youth and Sports that we all came together and we have been really diligently working hard. I don't know what kind of medication Minister Jacobs is on, but she has really been there morning, noon, and night. And I really look forward, as all of us as colleagues that are responsible for the schools, that as was indicated in some of the meetings, if we do need to work together, that we would work together, because at the end of the day, it is about us here in St. Martin giving our students an opportunity to get back to some normalcy. It is not easy, but some of us have lived long enough to know that we've been through something like this, nothing like this before. But I think if we all keep our heads together and stay focused, and we can get through. We still have some work to go, but I think together we are going to get all the programs starting, slowly but surely. So thank you very much.
We had moved into the former government administration building December last year, and at that time, little did we know that it would be so temporary. As a result of Hurricane Irma, the building is no longer usable, so we have lost all of our classrooms. We lost the physical building, but luckily we didn't lose the spirit of our teachers, management, staff, and board. And the students who came out along with the Marines and helped us move most of the stuff out of the building. And then also some community service workers came and finished the job with us. So we've moved everything to a new location, and we will be starting classes for the exam and pre-exam classes on Monday, October 2nd at the University of St. Martin, where we will be occupying 2 classrooms, and we will be having shift education, so to speak, where in the morning hours we'll have the 4th forms doing the academics, and the 5th and 6th in the afternoon hours doing academics. Then, of course, the 4th formers will do the arts programs in the afternoon, and the 5th and 6th will do the arts in the mornings. Hopefully, we will get use of the pavilion classrooms, so then we can start with the 1st to 3rd forms, because they too need to be in school. I know the parents are very anxious. We have lost some students, and because of this, not knowing when the lower forms will be starting, I suspect we would be losing more. So we are going to have a meeting on Monday, October 2nd at 10 a.m. with the parents and students of forms 1 to 3 to enlighten them, to give them some more information so that they can rest at ease, knowing that soon they will be starting to with their education again. The idea is probably we won't have enough classroom, and then there too we will have to start with shifts, morning and afternoon. But the idea is at least giving them the most urgent subjects in the mornings, academic subjects, and then also the arts programs. Of a total of 18 staff members, we have 3 that are off island. All 3 are willing to return. They're just waiting for flights back to the country. So hopefully we'll be back at 100% staff occupancy. As far as materials, we've lost quite some materials which we've reported to the ministry. And we'd also like to thank the minister and her ministry, who's been instrumental in getting us support for everything that we've needed so far. And the school board, of course, would like to thank also the other school boards that we have collaborated with in order to be able to provide additional resources such as teachers, etc., labs for our sciences and our science labs, in order that we can complete, or rather prepare our students to be able to sit the CXC examinations coming May and June. The Cultural Center has housed us, especially all of our facilities. That's where we're storing everything at the moment, because there was nowhere else to put them. So we would like to thank the management and board of the Cultural Center for that as well. There's so many people to thank when you have to really go out there and ask for everything, and maybe I hope I didn't forget anyone, but if I did, it's not intentional. So once again, thank you, and Charlotte Brookson Academy will be up and running again within short.
The pre-exam and exam classes of the academic and PSVE will start on Monday, the 2nd, 2017, from 7:30 to 12 p.m. So they will not have the afternoon classes, 7:30 to 12 p.m. The school board has introduced extended hours from 2 to 6 so that students needing the space can do their homework and research using the Wi-Fi at the school. And the students will be getting that information as well when they come to school. On Tuesday, they will also go until 12 p.m. And from Wednesday onwards, the end times will be operational according to the regular schedule. So that comes from Dr. Lula Bailey Vanterpool, the principal of the St. Martin Academy academic section. Also from the MAC schools, which includes 2 campuses, elementary, Braulia Millard and John A. Gums, and 1 high school, forms 1, 3, and 5 will all start on October 2nd, as well as forms 2 and 4. The times, however, are different. So for forms 1, they will have from 7:30 to 12 p.m. Form 2 from 10:15 a.m. to 3:15 p.m. Form 3 from 7:30 a.m. to 12:35 p.m. Form 4 also from 10:15 a.m. to 3:15 p.m. and Form 5 from 7:30 a.m. to 1:45 p.m. This is Monday, October 2nd. And even though I just said they will end at 12, so that was the latest update. So all of these end times I mentioned on October 2nd are not correct. They end at 12 on Monday and on Tuesday. So from 7:30 to 12 for Forms 1, Form 3 until 7:30 to 12, Form 5, 7:30 to 12, and then Forms 2 from 10:15 to 3:15, 2 and 4, okay? The MAC, Braulia Millard and Johnny Gums campuses will both start with all their classes at the regular times. I would also like to add that insurance for all school buildings falls within government's responsibility, and they are covered. All of the schools have submitted their assessments. Adjusters have to do what they have to do. And so as we move forward, these are our short-term solutions, but in the long term, we'll also have to be making other arrangements as schools are then being reconstructed and rebuilt. So I'm asking parents to be patient. I can also reiterate that the Charlotte Brookson Academy will be one of the recipients for sure of one of the pavilions that is coming. We are asking school boards, we have been asking that they collaborate and cooperate as much as possible. And so the other may be shared between 2 other school boards and 1 for elementary schools as well. So I do realize we've seen already that they've taken the extra step to do staggered classes, which we have done after Louis as well, where one school used the school in the morning and another used it in the afternoon. And we have seen that the resiliency of our people always pays off in the end. We get through the tough to make it over to the other side bigger and better and much more improved. So thank you for your understanding in that respect, and I hope that the information provided is sufficient. Also, NEPA and USM are not represented at this press conference, but they will not be starting on October 2nd, and their dates will be announced in the coming week. Thank you.
Thank you, Minister Jacob. The floor is now open for questions. The Daily Herald, Judy.
Thank you very much, and good afternoon to everyone present. I think everyone was quite extensive, and so I just have some clarification questions. For the Catholic School Board, you opened your remarks by saying 2 schools would be ready, but you listed a number of schools that will be ready tomorrow.
All the elementary schools, with the exception of the Sister Marie Laurent School, will start tomorrow. The principal really wants to have a talk with the parents of the Sister Marie Laurent School first, and then on Wednesday, most likely, we will start with the Group 7 and the Group 8, and then by the 9th of October, we're striving for the rest of the groups.
Thank you so much. And regarding the provision of meals for kids, is it the school board that would be providing the meals initially for the kids, or is it the Red Cross? Because
Well, it's an initiative coming from the school board for the week, and we are hoping to get that further support from ministry where the Red Cross is concerned. So we are hoping that we would be further supported in our endeavor to give breakfast and lunch to the students.
thank you so much.
And this started, just to add, we did that during the soft opening as well. We provided breakfast for all our students who came those mornings.
Thank you. I had as well. I'm a parent. Just another clarification. It was mentioned that 30 school buses have been approved to start transporting students. Can someone give an indication as to how many have been totally damaged? I mean, how many did we have operating prior to Irma?
Well, we really don't want to open back the school bus saga at this point, but we did have more than we needed at the time, which were in the 60s, 67, I believe, 30, and then a while ago she said 35, so I guess they're still inspecting today, have been approved. Based on our total school population, we actually were, in our calculations, only needed 40 for all our students. So as we stand now with just pre-exam and exam classes starting by most schools on Monday, only I believe the MAC and most of the Catholic schools are starting full. I do believe we have more buses than we actually need already, as well as Asher Stevens. So most of the elementary schools are starting full, and we will have more than enough buses that are ready to take them.
And I just have one final question before I pass it to my colleague. Regarding public schools, can you indicate how many teachers have left after Irma, and how many you still have for the various public schools?
Before I pass it to the minister to answer that, I would like to say that our opening hours, Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday, is from 8 to 12, and as of Thursday, we will go from 8 to 2.
Mrs. Holliday, together with the school managers, provided me with an update yesterday. In total, we have only 8 teachers that are unavailable to teach at this time, and so therefore, that is one of the reasons we are doing it staggered. So we're only starting with the pre-exam and exam classes. Most are willing to return from wherever they may have gone after the storm. Many just want to take their children, etc. And getting back to the island is we're looking into ways to assist not just our teachers, but teachers in general to be able to get back. I know civil servants and other aid workers have the opportunity, and most teachers have received the information how to register for these flights to get back, but we will pass this information to all the school boards. And we have already, but we will reiterate again as necessary in getting some of the teachers who are willing to return back. We already had some teachers that were out sick, so we're not counting who were already out due to illness or pregnancy or the like. So we're mainly talking about teachers and not necessarily all of the staff. Only 8 from the public schools are at this time unavailable.
And what's the total number of teachers we have in the public school system?
Ms. Davis? 196? Yes, around 196. So a very small percentage out at this time in terms of post-Irma.
P32, Stephen.
Mr. Jacobs, earlier on you said that some 73 teachers left after the hurricane. 4 will definitely not be coming back. What is being put in place to ensure that there is a continuity in the meantime for our students in terms of their education continuing? Any mechanism being put in place to ensure that things are taken care of?
Well, basically, each school board does their own recruiting. What I can say from experience is because of the situation, several teachers have made contact with the ministry and I believe with other school boards, giving their willingness to come in. Many of our St. Martiners who are in the Netherlands and the United States, maybe they had completed their studies but were continuing either with masters or PhDs, or they were just working to gain experience, see the need now to return home and assist with this. So I've had personally about 3 calls from local St. Martiners. I've heard from the Catholic School Board that some of their previous teachers whose contracts may have ended and they have returned have also pledged a willingness to return. So a mechanism as such we cannot put in place to ensure people return, but what I am noticing is that when people see us putting hand to the metal and working, that many are willing to come to our aid. Ministry of OCWA has also asked us what we needed and is also willing to us, and that is the Ministry of Education, Culture and Science in the Netherlands, has also pledged their support in whether it's material, whether it's human resources, and schools, entire schools have pledged their support from the Netherlands to assist us, whether it's with materials or teachers, and so I see it not being a problem for the near future for the continuity of our students' education.
Quite a few schools suffered damage during the passing of Hurricane Irma. Can you tell us as to how many classes were damaged?
Can you repeat the question?
How many classes suffered damage in the aftermath or after Hurricane Irma, after you've done your assessment?
I haven't come up to the total. Each school board did give what was available as of October 2nd, and I have not compiled it as yet, but I'm willing to send you that final report as soon as it is ready. Send it out to the media in general as soon as it is ready. We are busy finalizing our reports also for the Council of Ministers, as well as for the team that is coordinating our long-term recovery. They also need a proper overview of what the situation is, so we are busy compiling that information. As schools are being repaired with quick fixes as we speak, every time we meet, the numbers change. So initially, a school, for instance, the Marie-Laurence was like, okay, we can't use the entire school. Now we're seeing we can use maybe 4 or 5 classrooms in that school. The same goes for the Martin Luther King School. When the marine engineers first looked at it, they were like, it would take too much work. So we started with the schools that had the least amount of damage to get them up and running as quickly as possible, moving to the worst. And in 2 days, the Marine Corps was able to, cover the roofs that were leaking at the Martin Luther King School. It was cleaned up. The yard is cleaned up. And whereas we thought we could only go there with 5th and 6th grades, it's only because we're keeping it, constant across the board for public schools is why that school isn't starting full out on Monday. So many of the schools on initial look, when you see all the debris and you see all the ceilings falling in and whatever, look less usable than what they actually are after proper cleaning and some small fixing. So each week, more and more classrooms are becoming available based on the cleanup and the work that the contractors and Marines have been doing. So I cannot give you a total at this point, but more than just classrooms for pre-exam and exams already in all schools, except Marie-Laurence at this point.
Thank you. 19 of your teachers are out, 11 will not be returning.
Maybe then you didn't understood what I said. All will return.
All will be returning.
11 I thought was for the SCOS.
Those teachers being out currently, are they from the Sundial, MPC? What percentage from the Sundial and MPC?
We have 130 teachers, and at this point, 5 teachers out of the 19 work at Sundial. 2 of them also work at MPC. So the remaining 14 are working at Milton Peters College. Some of them are in Suriname, I think 1 or 2 in Aruba, and the remaining in the Netherlands.
Thanks.
And I think your first question, I thought the answer of the Honourable Minister was quite correct, because after hurricane, all classrooms were damaged. All. So that was your question? All. And that's why I'm so proud that all of us, together with the Marines and everybody, worked hard to clean it up. And even after Maria, I saw a new damage in the classrooms. And within a couple of days, even at this point when I'm speaking at Sundial, we're at work. So if you ask about the damage and classrooms that can't be used in the upcoming months, that will only be at Sundial, the hospitality wing.
Thank you. All classes were damaged. Not all homes were damaged.
No, but what I mean to say, a lot of moist, a lot of water. We didn't mention that, but it's not only about the classrooms in the building, it's also about the learning materials. We don't know yet, we'll be getting an inventory tomorrow to see how many books have been lost in their homes. So, and that is also taking hundreds of thousands of guilders per school to get back. And so it's, I'm always, every day you see new damage and that you think, okay, I didn't see that crack or whatever. So yeah, it's enormous.
Okay. If I may, we've spoken about the damage, and I'd like to ask the minister if she can perhaps give us an estimate of the total damages to our school system, particularly since government insures the school, and you said that the schools have sent in their estimates. What is the total damages to our school system?
Okay, at this point, that's also a total figure I do not have at hand. The ministry representative working together with the insurances is still busy with them and the adjusters to compile, and I wouldn't like to make a guess as such, but many of the roofs have been compromised. Doors and windows here and there have been blown out. Again, temporary quick fixes have been put in place, but because you have insurance, you're not going to put something too permanent in place to be able to spend money twice, as it may. What we are doing is trying to make the schools and the classrooms as habitable as possible. The overall, we do have some data, the overall damage looks to be about, Lord, it's print so small, 50% minimal damage, 25% moderate damage, and 25% major damage, including roofs and structural repairs.
I'm sorry, 50% what? Minimal?
Minimal.
I
So I don't have financial numbers for you, but based on the total schools, and in looking at that, we looked also at the police school. We looked at NEPA, USM, Learning Unlimited, CIA. So all of the schools, all of the learning institutions on St. Martin. Structural damage, as Mr. De Visser said, 100% of the schools receive some type of damage, whether major or minor. Fencing, ceilings, buildings, all of that has been damaged at all schools. In technical terms, wow, I have much more data than I thought. We have 59% with some damage, some type of technical damage, meaning electrical, cabling, etc. And about, I don't trust my eyes, 19% with no damage as such, technical, and 22% moderate. Yeah. Flood damage, we have 72% of the schools sustaining some type of flood or water damage. And school material and equipment damage, we have 70% of schools sustaining some material loss. 70. So as Mr. De Visser said, all schools. And so we're really making do, how they say in Dutch, we roeien met de riemen die we hebben. And what I must say is that we are receiving materials as of the coming week, besides what is coming on the Karel Doorman today, which are the pavilions and chairs and tables for those schools that are the worst off. We put in an order for regular school materials. We could not be specific in terms of what types of books, and that's why this week is also important for the students to report what they have lost, especially at the high school level. They go home with those books. We've ordered also some IT to replace what may have been lost, and chairs and tables as well at the different levels. So we're expecting some shipments to arrive Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and once they are here, based on the needs that have been submitted by the school boards, they will be disseminated to the various school boards with, of course, going from the most damaged at this point now to the least.
I think I have just 2 more questions I see here on my list. Can you give an indication, Minister, we have an exact figure as to how many teachers have left and how many will be returning. Do you have any indication as to how many students in total we have left? I know you mentioned earlier that parents should report to the school.
Based on, just like the school children say, I see that saying, we know that saying a lot. I have no exact figures, but based on what the ministries in Curacao and Aruba are saying, there are between 300 to 500 children that have left. We don't have a confirmation of that, and we can only get a confirmation once the parents notify the school here. So it is important, it is very, very important that parents, all parents, whether you're abroad or on island, that you notify your child's school as to the status of your child's attendance at school. We know we are in special circumstances, but normally, under normal circumstances, if a child fails to show up for 3 months, that child is automatically written out of the register. Nobody wants to do that. So as parents, your responsibility is to report immediately to the school the status of your child, is your own status as well in terms of your ability to, because many may feel because I don't have a stable home, they're not bringing home their children, etc. And in that way, we will see how we can be able to assist. So please, once again, do notify your schools immediately, whether by phone call, your presence, or email, as to the status of your children and when you expect them to return. And only then, hopefully by the end of the week, we are meeting weekly with the school boards, and then by next week, Friday, we expect to have a better picture as to the number of students that we need to cater to.
We've lost 1 month of teaching for our students. How confident are you that, particularly for pre-exam and exam students, that we would be able to get them sufficiently ready for their exams? And just as a follow-up to that, the teachers whom the ministry would be assisting to return, is the ministry financing the cost of that?
Okay, if the teachers get on the marine flights, then it's just like the ones they left on. All teachers have received their salaries and have the opportunity to also request 1 month advance as a loan, which can be repaid during the month of 2018. If they are unable to get in on the humanitarian flights, I would implore them to try all means possible to do so. The Frenchside Airport is also open. Caribbean settled can go through St. Kitts as well to get to St. Martin. So you really have to look out for the ways and means. But as Mr. De Visser said, many are in either Aruba, Curacao, the Netherlands, or Suriname, and the majority. And if they can get to Curacao for the next 2 to 3 weeks, the humanitarian flights for civil servants will continue, and they are considered to be civil servants in that respect, which is on the humanitarian flights that are being planned, I believe 3 times per week. So they have a website that they have to register at, and then they're called when they can be placed on that flight. You asked another question. being able to catch up with the exams. And that's why it was important for us to get these students in as first, so that we can assess their needs, make sure we have the materials, and then the schools are then charged with adjusting their schedules to be able to catch up with what may have been missed. Some of those students who left were actually doing some work in the countries where they went, so they might have less catching up to do, but the ones that remained here, of course, will have some catching up to do, and the charge will then be on the school boards to make that happen. In years gone by, when we've had those things, we have instituted extra classes. Sometimes the students work through certain vacation periods to be able to catch up. And as we're seeing, next week was actually supposed to be, coming week was supposed to already have been a holiday, so we haven't missed exactly 4 weeks, only 3 so far. I want to say, first of all, a great big thank you to all of those entities, organizations, ministry workers that have made it possible for us to be here today, for our students to be able to start Come Tomorrow, God Spare Life. In our first press release, we neglected to remember the fire department, who USAR NL were not able to do what they did in the first cleanup they did of the schools without our local firemen. So my apologies to our local boys. We did not overlook you. We just probably felt like you were doing your jobs. But we are totally grateful to you for everything you've done. Our local police officers, who are also working hard day in, day out, and going through lots of stress. We cannot miss out on all of the hard workers at NVGEBE. TELEM, because we didn't talk about that, but TELEM has also pledged, once they have full capacity of electricity at their cell sites, to upgrade the internet access at our schools, and to be able to provide that internet so that the students can do their work. We know technology, it's this rough time we're going through. We're going to see where technology will help us to catch up faster. Those books that we are not able to get in hard copy, we may have to look for the investment in ebooks for our students, because in this day and age, we were lagging behind and not quite up to 21st century learning. And we as a ministry want to utilize this opportunity to get there even faster. So together with our school boards, we'll be finding ways and looking at the best resources possible to get in on the shortest possible notice, thanks to all of the entities abroad who have pledged support to us, including the Ministry of Osewe in the Netherlands, all of the schools and the different entities. The Red Cross, the Ministries of Education in Aruba and Curacao have also pledged to offer some trainings and upgradings, and to work with our teachers. We're very, very grateful for all of that input. The Marines, of course, in providing, through the Dutch funding, the humanitarian flights, which our teachers will also make use of. All of the civil servants, because it takes a whole lot. The Ministry of Romi, the Ministry of Finance, the Ministry of TIAT, the Ministry of VSA. We needed all of them to be able to reach where we are today. And of course, General Affairs, we will continue to need them. We are busy compiling the needs of the teachers, together with all our civil servants, to see how we can assist in getting them emergency homes. Actually, teachers will have preference for, I'm not going to say where at this point, but just today we got confirmation of a possibility for 100 teachers. So we're looking at that, and that should, I think, cover us pretty nicely. Some of them are in serious need, so I thank them for the sacrifice that they are taking to be without themselves, but still thinking on the students, thinking on our youth, and coming out and assisting us to get the school year continued, despite the 3-week and change hiccup. So thank you to all the boards, the school management, the teachers, the care teams, Mrs. Olga Mussington and her crew, which has spread island-wide, and we've also gotten lots of requests for assistance or offers of assistance in the care aspect, the psychosocial and psychological aspect. We are just waiting to see how many we need before they start coming in, and of course to make sure we have enough room for them to stay. Because if we don't have enough for who's here, you know, it's going to be difficult to ask professionals to come in and camp out in the tents with us. So we are thankful, we are grateful, we are feeling quite blessed Despite having survived Super Cat 5 Irma, oh, I forgot UNICEF, we are also assessing and assisting daycare centers. So they have been assessed. They are registering to see for the ones that don't have a place where we will be able to assist them, and the Red Cross and UNICEF is assisting us in that respect as well. Many, many hands have come on board. None of this would be possible with just one person.